Warning, there will be spoilers. Hi everyone, Morten Åstad here with another video. This video I'll be looking at a very recent purchase of mine, Friday last week. It is a Blu-ray, which is a rare occurrence on my channel, and that is the documentary about Paul Di'Anno. Before I start looking at that though and talking about it, I also want to do a little reveal of a CD I bought. Yes, I do also buy CDs. It's not just vinyls all the time, and because it's sort of related in an adjacent way to Paul Di'Anno, it is the latest, that would be second album by Smith and Kotzen, Black Light, White Noise. I had this on my want list for a while, and it had been available at the Plot Company at a very nice price for a CD that is, relatively young. It is from last year. But it kept being sold out and not in store. But now it popped up as in store because I like to buy from them where they package for me, and I can just go to the shop and pick up what I bought, because that gives me some extra savings and stuff. So I have the first album, and one of the reasons that I do that, in fact, apart from the fact that I'm obviously a huge Iron Maiden fan and have been so since 1983, my favorite member of Iron Maiden is Adrian Smith. So I actually once upon a time I had ASAP, Adrian Smith and Project, and for some dumb reason I traded that record in back then. So like I said, had their first album, and I enjoyed it. I listened to it from time to time, especially when I do one of those. I have my own CD section over there, which is hard rock and heavy metal only. So sometimes I have to go over there and grab. So I'll grab a stack of CDs from there, and it'll be a mixture of, let's say Iron Maiden. When I'm thinking, no, there's been too many. Now I need to listen to them on CD. And Judas Priest and Sax, and obviously Metallica, Megadeth. I got my. What else do I have over there? Black Sabbath, Kiss, and so on and so forth, and some of my Iron Maiden adjacent records. So there is the little hype sticker, which I will keep, and let's look at the record. So I find that this is obviously sort of it's a long time between Iron Maiden records these days, and Adrian, of course, usually are the contributor to the majority of songs not written by Steve Harris, but that leaves 2 to 4 songs maybe per album, often together with Bruce Dickinson. So I can understand the need to make music outside of Iron Maiden, and he has done so with Kotzen, Richie Kotzen I know nothing about, to be honest. I know he's from some band. Apparently, he got to talking with. Was that how it was? He got to talking with Adrian's wife at a bar, or was it the other way around? Adrian got talking to his wife, something like that, and let's meet up. And then Adrian and Kotzen met, or Adrian rather, and Richie met, and they decided to make an album in the end after playing together and stuff. And I really liked that debut album, and now I'm very curious to hear what this second album is all about. So we got ourselves a booklet. We have lyrics, very nicely put together. This is not a cheap sort of just a paper sleeve and CD kind of thing in this day and age, the money being tight in the music industry and all. So, and a very nice CD, and it's on BMG. It's on BMG. So let's get to the reason I'm making this video. Here we go, guys. Yeah, so Paul Di'Anno, or rather Di'Anno, Iron Maiden's Lost Singer. Not necessarily a title I'm 100% agree with. A brutal, brilliant movie, Metal Hammer. This film is a much-watched, a dark, powerful tribute to a fallen icon, says Metal Talk. And exclusive bonus features deleted scenes. And I will try and get back to that at the end. Yeah, so I got this from Plot Compania. They didn't have it in store, but they had it in their storage facility, and so I put in an order for this and a few other things, and the day after I could go down to their store and pick it up, and their store is 500 to 700 meters from my apartment, so very nice. This is just some advertisement for other products from Cleopatra Entertainment, I think it is called, and there is the Blu-ray itself. So obviously this comes out at roughly the same time as Iron Maiden's Burning Ambition, and from what I can tell, both projects are made by let's call them outsiders. It's not really a project endorsed by any kind of management or anything from either group, but I guess in some ways, and apart from the Iron Maiden, family and all that, that is where the similarities start to sort of dissipate, because this, I don't think this is a love letter to the memory of Di'Anno. You have to. I simply have to approach this project from a couple of viewpoints. So someone at some stage became aware of what a dire situation Paul Di'Anno was in. And if for those of you who might think that this is the life and story of Di'Anno, yes, but not maybe in a way that you would think if you, for example, watched, and I haven't seen it yet, Burning Ambition. There's no beginning and end of, and we don't really go dive very deeply into some things that I would have been more interested in. But you might actually see, if you watch the Iron Maiden documentaries to some stage, sources. Because we're not sitting down with Paul Di'Anno and he's talking about his early days in Iron Maiden here. We got floating heads or sound bites or whatever you call it, people talking about that. And you have some interesting people doing that. I don't know if these people really ever properly met him, or things like that. You have, for example, the former bass player from Megadeth, a fellow Norwegian. What you have is a group of people, or a couple of people, became aware, like I said, of what a dire situation Paul Di'Anno was in. So we see him very early on in this project, which is going back to 2017. So he's been approached by some Samaritans, fans, who I'm a little unsure where they are located. Was it one person in Croatia or two? Was it one person in Ukraine, or am I thinking about the wonderful guy behind the the Metal Pilgrim channel? And that's one of the problems. We don't really get a deep dive into them, which I think is both a missed opportunity and also wildly unfair. Yes, this is about Paul. I get that. But there's another problem with that aspect of it. It is that Paul does not necessarily come across as a very sympathetic and kind person here. He is obviously he is in deep shit. We see him in the wheelchair. We see him at the doctor's office. We see that his one leg is already thicker than twice as thick as mine, but the other leg is twice as thick as that, and it's purple. So if you're going to watch this and you are a squeamish person, don't. Really, do not watch this. I don't know if there was any warning on the packaging here. There isn't, but there is I think it is when it film opens up, because this is gory. And this is, yeah. I was watching it like this at some stages. So we follow a process where we are introduced to, and there's another thing that I was a little bit. I know the film is as long as it is, but there's this group of guys who are playing with him. His band, essentially, and they are a bunch of Norwegians. At least his European touring band were Norwegian guys, just like me, well, except I don't play instruments, who toured with him. And he did that in a wheelchair because at some stage he managed to destroy his knee. And his knees, these parts of his knee, they're not attached like this anymore. They're attached like this. So, cartilage and all that stuff is gone. The NHS, I don't know. I feels a bit like, I know NHS is in many ways a wonderful thing, but in his case, it seems like they're sort of waiting for him to die, and he's very close to dying. So these guys, these Samaritans, they start a project. They start selling things, and they start getting crowdfunding and everything to get money to save his life. And that's when we go back and forth between his early days with Iron Maiden, a little bit about his childhood. And from then on, we get little pieces of that. And sometimes we go back to him talking to fans and people on camera at a pub. Again, back in 2017. And then they get enough money to get him private hospital treatment in Croatia. So they put him... he cannot travel by air, so they put him on a ferry, and we get a lengthy scene in Calais, I guess it is, where he is really angry because he can't sit upright in the ambulance. He has to be lying flat, and I know he's scared and so on, but he is extremely stubborn. And I think the situation that has dogged his entire existence is his stubbornness. And some people have said, that's one of the things that sort of makes this a difficult watch. Not the most difficult, mind you. So, we get to Croatia, and we have an amazing doctor there, and he seems like a really he's one of the heroes of this thing, I think. So they start him on a regimen to get him in a good enough shape. Then they run out of money, and we end up. He visits Iron Maiden, actually, when they're playing in, was it Zagreb? Yeah, it was Zagreb, not Split. And he meets Steve Harris for the first time since he left Iron Maiden. They have a nice chat, what do you call it, chinwag. And they talk about West Ham, and apparently from then on they kept texting each other about the West Ham results, which is probably a depressing thing in itself. Go Hammers. And Iron Maiden spits in a lump sum to get him his operation. And then he gets a girlfriend in Croatia, and he gets engaged there. And I'm thinking, my dear, you are either some sort of saint, or you haven't thought this through. And then we get the operation. And when I say we get the operation, so he's wheeled into the operating theater, and then we cut to him performing in a wheelchair, I think again with a Norwegian band. But I can't remember, because what you put through here is the open knee surgery of Paul Di'Anno in its full glory and horror. I mean, we're talking about a leg this size being slit open. We got chisels, we got bone saws, we got all kinds of things, and then his skin is wrapped up and around here, and then hey, we're playing some music, and then back in and playing some music. Oh my Odin, that was not what I was prepared for. And like I said, I was watching like this. That was heavy. And I mean, you guys know what happens to Paul Di'Anno in the end. I know that all the way looking through this. And you're thinking, we know what's going to happen to Paul. What is this in aid of? Why are we being put through this? Why is his memory being put through this? Because what is even more horrible after this is that he is doing quite well after the operation. But wheels have been set in motion because he insists on it. Because I can't live and not play music. Because he runs out of money again. And then he's training, he's with a physical therapist and things, he's starting to look better. Of course, through this whole thing, he's chain smoking. And I mean, you have people out there who are denied operations because they can't quit smoking. And, I mean, it's not up to me to judge people, but really? Smoking in all of this? But then we cut to some time after the operation, and what looked well, and he's in Brazil, touring. His shape is bad, he's worse off. The doctor had signed off on this as long as he kept up his physical therapy, but he doesn't. And there's a scene where he's sitting there chain smoking at a hotel he's not happy with, which is understandable because they can't get him into the elevator. And a car bumps into him, and he's so angry. He gets angry at this guy who keeps helping him, who's been helping him through the whole thing, and who starts, talking back to him, which I would have done much further along. And the woman's left him. Money's tight, but he has to keep these touring appearances going on. For contracts and all kinds of things, and there are glimmers there where he's singing to these adoring Brazilian fans, and they're talking about him. And one of the highlights of the movie, by the way, to backtrack a little bit, is he's sitting underneath like these concrete chairs in a sort of a transport area underneath the stadium where he's about to meet Iron Maiden, and some guys see him through the slits of these stairs, and they go, Diano, Diano, and one of them gets to meet him, and he's he's drunk, but he's also in tears. And this is the most wonderful time in his life, and that's one of the where I was cheering too. And but then the film is basically just wrapped up and tells us that he passed away, and the end, sort of. Well, that's how I remember it now, anyway. Because I don't know if I can watch this again. I'm very happy I got this. I'm very happy I watched it, but I must. And his post-Iron Maiden career, I mean, it is talked about and we see things, but it's mostly about how things go bad. And I don't know if someone was bad-mouthing Battlezone, which made me a little bit upset, because it made me think, everyone knows, you're supposed to hate Paul Di'Anno's Battlezone, and I have Paul Di'Anno's Battlezone, both on cassette from back in the day and a later vinyl record. So, I don't know. But, as I started saying, let's go back to the bonus material. Because there are deleted scenes in the bonus material. And those deleted scenes should have been in the movie. Because they show his superfan working out of an apartment the size of a shoebox with his wife or girlfriend and a little baby, packing, and she is as well, paraphernalia to sell to help him get money for his treatments. And they are in economic dire straits because they've taken all these orders, and now it doesn't seem like they have the money to ship it. So I think they had to go into their own pockets for a little while, or something like that. Because, of course, part of the problem was that when I watched these deleted scenes, I was pretty worn out, to be honest. So this is not a criticism of the people behind this. It's not a criticism of Paul and his life. It's just a little warning in a way that it might not be what maybe I thought it was going to be, or what other people. I knew it was about his health journey. I was fully aware of that. I had seen trailers for this, but from a point of view of maybe some kind of morality and so on, obviously the people who made this wouldn't have known that he... I wouldn't have gambled on him still being alive, to be honest. In the end, of course, he passes away from aortic tear. And he's back in the UK, and I don't know if he's surrounded by family. Well, surrounded is a... But yeah, and the people who invested in making this, of course, wanted it to get out. And I think most of the people around him are in a sympathetic light here. I think all the people who are around him and help him, and I mean from ambulance drivers to his minders and his helpers and that nurse who ends up getting engaged to him. Everyone seems like heavy metal people in a way. They are, under their rough exterior, they are saints, many of them. Some of the most wonderful people I've spoken with in concerts and going out, when someone sees you wearing a heavy metal t-shirt and they are too, and they approach you, and you end up drinking beers with a total stranger and talking about heavy metal. And the heavy metal people who I don't engage with that much in the vinyl community, because I am not that well versed in that, and I'm more of a old jacks kind of music person. But they are really some of the most approachable and great guys and girls out there. So they are the heroes in this. Paul, the way he's portrayed like Paul, but yeah, I don't think you can watch this and not come on the other side having some feelings that you might be uncomfortable with having seen this, and that's not because of the harrowing, the surgery photography or filming. It's more about him and I guess his stubbornness in some ways, and that's not in any way meant to talk ill of the dead. He's the reason we have Iron Maiden, beyond everything else that's happened since those two first albums are iconic. I love them dearly. This is my favorite Iron Maiden album cover. Yeah, so that's my thoughts about the Di'Anno documentary, and I hope that inspires you to watch it if you hadn't, but maybe be prepared. And I should probably now record me saying, warning, there will be spoilers, and put in at the beginning of this video. I don't do a lot of reviews, and fairly rarely I do film reviews, but there you have it. That was my attempt at a review of the Di'Anno documentary, which I'm very happy to have watched, although I felt, like I said, fairly worn out afterwards. So if you have any comments about this, please leave those. Be nice, and I hope you wouldn't mind clicking like. That helps my channel, and if you want to subscribe, well, that makes me very happy, and I hope to see you guys soon in another video. Up the irons. Cheers, mate. Bye bye.